being handlock, that priest might just be unbeatable at this point.
I completely agree with that. It's really risky to bring out Rogue here, and he just gets immediately punished with Warlock. Two of those matchups would have been pretty bad for him, in all honesty. Do we? Firebat really is just bored at the end of the format coming up on GVG here, as we can see. He's not playing Hunter. He's playing Stranglethorn Tiger in his Rogue deck on purpose. I like it. I like the style, but oh man, that is
I mean,
ambitious.
this is a player who's ran Stone Tusk Boar in Miracle Rogue, so
Yeah.
he's been more ambitious than this, I believe. Now, what do you think about keeping prep against handlock? Do you think that's a good idea? I feel like
No.
while prep is really powerful, digging for that auctioneer is the only thing you should be concerned about.
I'm in your boat, Crip. I think digging for that auctioneer is the only thing you should be concerned about. But maybe Firebat, acknowledges that this can be. Okay, first of all, keeping prep is fine against like Zoo to just play on Fan of Knives or to get your SI out there. But if it is handlock, right, it's a bad matchup. Firebat knows it's a bad matchup. So maybe he's thinking, okay, I'm just going to try to draw this auctioneer, and then once I have it, then I can do this degenerate preparation stuff. Because auctioneer on its own without the preps is probably still not good enough. But
Hmm.
we actually like Firebat's chances, even though he doesn't have auctioneer here. Tom made the most classic handlock mistake that players make in tournaments all the time. Um, they coin Twilight Drake with no follow up Twilight Drake. So he's probably gonna get punished for it. Honestly, his turn four is gonna be pretty weak. I think the better way to sequence this would have been Ancient Watcher into Drake into Lotheb, but maybe he just doesn't want SI to be.
Well, often what I see in this matchup is the rogue actually not having an answer to it except for sap.
Mhm.
And do you think that's worth trying?
I mean, well, if they don't have an answer for it on turn three, then they won't have an answer for it on turn four. Like usually they can kill the first one, no matter what, right? They backstab, they eviscerate, they trade their 3/3, whatever it takes. The second big guy is usually what'll win the game for handlock, if anything. But
Hmm.
man, no auctioneer just yet. I think I like eviscerating this watcher. It's gonna stop him from getting shadow flamed. I guess you could wait and then make a new weapon instead.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, he's gonna go for poisoning it next turn. All right, being pretty liberal with his life total. Not a bad play at all. I like it.
Yeah, it feels like the rogue doesn't actually take damage from the warlock's creatures until he's basically dead. It seems like that wall of molten giants just hits you all at once, and you're gone.
All
So
right, so Firebat. He doesn't have the auctioneer yet, but he's got some five drops. He's got some stuff to do. He won't be punished for not having auctioneer for a while, honestly. But man, that Twilight Drake draw, pretty good.
mhm.
Gives him something to do. Can still hold on to the Lotheb. Hmm. I think we're gonna see Watcher die here and then just an attack to the face. All right. So we're gonna see Lotheb developed by Firebat, kind of wrestling back and forth for board control. Uh, Now this is the Lotheb turn. Lotheb's battle cry here is not gonna be affecting Tom too much. I think we're just gonna see a copy on Drake probably, maybe a
I
Lotheb
mean,
of his own.
all it really does is maybe force out like an Argus if he wants to kill off the 5/5 because it prevents Mortal Coils and Siphon Soul. But
Hmm.
it just feels like he can afford to take a little bit of damage here.
Yeah, Firebat definitely just wanted to develop the 5/5. He'll save the Drake for the combo with Eviscerate in the same turn. I'm not. Like it doesn't. I don't think it matters too much which creature you go with here. I'd probably lean towards the Faceless myself. It's a card that's tough to get value out of most of the time in this matchup. But maybe Tom's scared of taking damage. Maybe he wants to play Sludge Belcher instead of copying Drake. I like being more aggressive here though. Make another 4/9. Tom
Hmm.
agrees. There we go. And then I think he just killed the Farseer off. Nice.
Yeah, those Twilight Drakes are such a big problem. It's like you can't really afford to take constant damage as the rogue, and I mean those Drakes are essentially worse than giants. Like you can't really sap them too effectively.
Hmm.
and they often have more health than giants. They just soak up so much damage.
Definitely, it's a super important draw. We'll see if personally I lead off on Drake here. I think, but I think Firebat's considering the SI agent lines of play. Maybe you. I
I
guess he
think
can
this board is
shiv.
like, I think this board is gone. I think you just start going for it at this point. And
You
you have a
can,
lot of damage in hand.
yeah, you can clear off most of it. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, I guess he is considering going face. I like Drake just to see what you get. And so one of the most important cards for a rogue against Handlock that people don't think about too often is actually Blade Flurry. Handlock kind of they can't ever just not play a minion because they have to. That's like not spending 5 of your mana. So you have to play into it all the time, right? So because of Blade Flurry's importance, he's going to be a little hesitant to use that charge up. But getting a clear board, hoping that Tom doesn't have Hellfire, definitely a fine line of play here. But that
It's
Mortal
not even,
Coil.
yeah, it's just like Mortal Coil by itself kind of gets rid of this board. And I
Hmm.
feel like if those Azure Drakes don't pick up any good draws, this game is over for Firebat. Because like you burned so many spells just dealing with that. You burned off most of your creatures.
Hmm.
I mean, you're
Well,
basically choosing to get lucky with your deck versus not getting too punished by going face a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know what was best there, but
yeah, he should definitely Deadly Poison here instead of playing Farseer. Otherwise, he gets wrecked by Hellfire and Shadow Flame. Got to go with the poison here.
no. Firebat is not looking too happy right now.
Hmm. All right. Well, Firebat's got the all creature draw. We're seeing double Farseer. He's really trying to beat Hunter with this list. We're seeing Stranglethorn Tiger because he's trying to be a hipster. Not too much in the way of anti-handlock
I
cards
like
though. Some
Stranglethorn.
it's just like Gadgetzin, right? Strictly better. It's a 5/5. It's stealthed on its own.
Yeah.
Maybe he's playing Tigers instead of Gadgetzins. Or maybe his roommate switched him out right
Oh,
before
no
the
way.
tournament just to mess with him, and he hasn't noticed. Hmm. It's a lot of 5 drops though. Lotheb Tiger, Gadgetzins presumably.
Now let's see here. So you drop the Lotheb to pretty much secure the game. I mean, when the rogue is that low on life, there's very little you're afraid of with Lotheb down.
Yeah, definitely. It's
I
gonna be
feel
a
this
tough
game
one to lose.
is basically completely over.
Well, it looks like Tom's gonna have to spend the next turn sort of dealing with the board, but the only way he can do that effectively is with that Shadow Flame. Let's say he Shadow Flames. He's only left with 5 mana left over, which doesn't let him develop a threat. So Firebat might have a turn of reprieve with which to Tiger his opponent into the Stone Age, but I don't know how much Tiger's actually going to do. We'll see.
Well, it's gonna do 5 damage to
Here
something. What do you
we
mean?
go.
I guess so.
That's why it's in the deck. It's like a pre-cast Eviscerate that leaves behind like a 5/2.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Here we go.
Well, let's see. He's going to take the extra damage. He could have let the Drake go down to 1 health there, save a bit of life. He's going to opt for this instead. Oh, and he draws the 4 mana threat, or sorry, the 5 mana threat, and there's pretty much no better one than that. So now his Shadow Flame turn is much less awkward. Game probably. Whoa, that's sap though.
Yeah, now you can sap Tiger.
Got him.
Well, you're getting something. And if it's not an Auctioneer, it doesn't matter, I guess.
I guess, yeah, he's going to Shiv in case he draws Auctioneer right away.
Wow, he does.
All right. So we need to get Conceal off these draws. There's some hope. I think you just prep the sap.
Is
Right
there
off.
hope? Is there really enough cards in the deck to take this game right now?
Not even close, but we're casters. We're going to try to make it seem close, even when it's not
Okay.
necessarily about to be. I was going to go for the Tiger sap instead of the Auctioneer. Tiger better than Gadgetzin, confirmed here.
Well, it does do more damage next turn.
That's true. Definitely does. He's gonna go through Giant the hard way. Well, it looks like Gadgeton would have just died right away. So I think just slamming Jiraxis a little too sketchy. You can probably take 10 damage pretty easily.
Yeah, that seems like a terrible play. I think I'd just play whatever at this point.
What about life tapping? I like life tapping here, I think. Because otherwise you're only spending like half your mana. And you're going to play either your Giant or your Sylvanas. This game is still definitely losable for Handlock. This is a very awkward turn for him. If he can life tap into a second play, maybe like an Ancient Watcher to go with his dude, his Mountain Giant or his Sylvanas, that'd be pretty good.
I just feel like there's still not much to be done. Like, how hard does Firebat need to top deck to win this game? It has to be like Eviscerate Cold, but it's still not enough.
He's gonna go for the double Soulfire kill. Making the plays. Here we go. Giant first, just in case.
I like it.
Got him.
Yep.
Well, hey, that card's about to cost 1 mana. Wouldn't have mattered here, but...
Wouldn't have mattered at all. Well, Tom takes the first game, and I mean, usually when you're up 1 game in a best of 5, it's a pretty big deal. Not quite as big when it's a best of 3. Yeah, you gotta keep in mind the classes involved. Like, we have Rogue knocked out on Handlock, so he's got to beat Handlock, and he's got to do it with 2 decks that both lose pretty horribly to Priest.
Yep. So he's definitely
type of a Warlock quite a lot recently.
Yep.
With the Lava Bursts, with a double Doom Hammer, which you were initially not so fond of. But I guess that came around, huh?
No, it didn't. People stopped playing it after 2 weeks. It was bad.
Okay.
Always was bad.
Do you like the Lava Bursts, though?
Nope.
Still nope. What about Crackle? Would you run Crackle in that kind of deck?
You have to play Crackle in every Shaman deck. Crackle is just too good not to play. The numbers are just too high.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, because that card is going to generate many a PJ Salt in my stream.
Yeah.
They're going to have that 3-4. You're going to need to kill it. Oh, what are the odds I roll a 3? Well,
no, I actually doubt it. I think it's going to be worse than that. It's going to be the type of game where you have no chance of losing unless they get a spell damage totem and top roll double Crackle, and then they're going to do just that.
Yeah, I was telling Frodan about exactly that situation yesterday. The 1 Crackle, you're exactly 7.
Yeah.
You know exactly how you're going to lose, but you can't do anything about it. There's no life gain.
You have that board with like double Sludge Belcher, a Sunwalker, and a Ragnaros, and it's all locked in. There's no way you can possibly lose the game. And
if Ragnaros shot anything else, he would be dead the turn before. And then, yeah.
So many.
Oh, well, Hearthstone's a hell of a game. Well, this hand is pretty much unlosable for Firebat. He has the opening hand Hex. He's got Flame Tongue, Haunted Creeper, Earthshock into the Drake.
Earthshock counters the Drake, and I mean, just losing your first card is such a big deal, and losing your second card is a little bit more of a problem, because that's going to happen as well.
He's going to opt to Totem a lot instead of playing Spirits, which is a little bit better against Hellfire, but I'm not sure when he's planning on playing Spirits. Let's see, Life Tap into Giant.
That's a pretty good draw, though. What do you think about running Giants? I mean, it's kind of hard to deal with. Though I guess the Totem can make it work.
What do you think about that draw, Chris? Running Hexes is pretty good.
I just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. The Giants, honestly, they would... Normally, that's how you beat Shaman. You get 2 of them, they can only deal with the first one. But in this case, Firebat's been able to totem up so much that Flame Tongue is basically like a 3rd copy of Hex. So, yeah, this is just... All of his cards that are important, Firebat got in like the first 10 of his deck. So, it's going to be very tough to lose this game.
I also feel that Tom might just continuously play out the threats, and because he has them, it's actually a problem. Like, imagine he didn't have many creatures. Imagine he only had Hellfire. Then he had Hellfire this turn, and then that Flame Tongue Totem wouldn't be as bad. But because all he has are the powerful cards, and because Firebat has the answers, this is pretty much like a perfect storm.
Well, the nice thing, though, for Tom at least, is that Firebat isn't putting too much pressure on. There's not too much damage in play yet. It's going to come down to probably not Sylvanas RNG. You know, I expect to see an Earthshock here. But he should run 2 totems in. I think you want to leave your Haunted Creeper alive, just so that you're better off against Shadow Flames and Hellfire.
That's not happening. Nope. Nope.
Oh, that is ambitious.
Hellfire clear.
Oh, I guess he has the Sea Giant, though, so it's all good. Sea Giant, Earthshock, got him. And that is some complicated math. Oh, he's thinking about saving Earthshock. Here we go. Oh no, then Sea Giant can't. Oh! Wrecked. That RNG. Well, at least Giant can still come down.
Yeah.
Got that going.
Job done.
I just
Really?
feel like if you're dropping that Sea Giant and you have the Flame Tongue down, your opponent can't Siphon Soul and Hellfire.
That's true.
And-
what about
and,
the BGH
like-
Shadow Flame? Just no fear.
Oh, I guess that's true. But on the other hand, like, why do you really need that second Earthshock if you have a Giant down as well? Like, the Giant just attacks the Drake.
That's a good point. Now, what are we going to see from Tom here? Sun Fury? I guess, I don't know. You have to play Siphon, right? Or does he even have Siphon? It's a little blurry. I don't think he
Yeah.
does.
I'm having trouble making out the cards he has. I don't think he has Siphon Soul either.
So, I guess we're going to see Hellfire, Soulfire, Coil. Coiling the 1/1, looking for a better answer. Wow. That's going to mean he doesn't
is-
have the answer in hand.
Hold on, that is a good answer. Can't he play the Sun Fury on the totem Shadow Flame it because it has 4 attack and Soulfire?
He could have done that, just wants to play his 8/8 instead, which honestly I like. Taking a turn to
bit
develop a
froggy.
minion.
Did he just hex it before killing off the totem?
I think, well, he doesn't want to use that 8 damage attack to kill the totem. He's considering,
You don't have to. You can use your Argus.
My shield.
sure, so Argus. Okay, kill that, and then, well, then you can't deal damage with the 8 anyway, right? Because he has the, I guess you hit him in the face and then you have,
Yeah.
let him keep his guy.
Or you just
Okay.
kill the guy.
Alright, it's a fine play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have went with that. That's a typical arena play from a typical Stranglethorn Tiger owner.
He's
Right.
got an 8/8, man. I've been playing Hunter for the past few months. My gut reaction is to just always go face, you know?
Yeah, you never know when your opponent's going to play his Unleash top deck. What's that? Hunter's Mark? Yeah.
So, Firebat did just draw Elexstrasza into Molten Giant. You know,
Oh, yeah.
did not
I
not
thought-
thought steal those with his Shaman deck, no. Those are...
For a second there, I thought we were in the wrong POV. That Molten Giant, that thing's only going to be played when it's completely irrelevant.
Alright, I'm gonna put the over-under on Stranglethorn Tigers in this Shaman deck at 1. Did you say over or under, Crip?
Shields up.
I say over. We'll see. Oh, there we go. You excited for the 2-mana Tiger? I am.
No, it's good.
Aw.
Oh, 0 mana Haunted Creeper. That's some value. I mean, if you think about it, that's basically a flare. That Farsight
Like
should be
you-
in every deck.
It's like you free-rolled a taunt totem. I like it. So here we see the classic Overload plus 9 drops Shaman synergy. This is a big part of why you don't see too many Elexstrasas or cards like that in the deck. But, you know, it's all good. We got Farsights.
Actually, I don't think I've ever seen Elexstrasza in the Shaman deck. Ever.
Yeah, it's actually the only big guy you can actually play, because the class has trouble with healing, and it also has a lot of bursts. So Elexstrasza is actually pretty synergistic, if it didn't cost 9.
But,
But I
have you
guess-
seen it?
Yeah. We've a few of the players have played it in tournaments before. You've seen Deathwing before as well, actually.
I've seen Deathwing, yeah. I have seen Deathwing. It's just because Shaman, you're so helpless when you don't have the board. That sacking in your hand to get the board is good enough sometimes.
Yeah. You usually don't have much of a hand on 10 mana anyway. Yeah, personally I'm not a fan of the expensive stuff just because of the overload mechanic, but you know, it definitely can be really strong and just win you games that no other card can.
Well, we were talking about how Firebat had an unlosable hand. Now that we've seen Elexstrasza and Molten Giant,
All of a sudden handlock's back in it.
yeah.
Deal Elexstrasza
And-
yourself so you can get the Molten Giant out. Just the best pit lord in the world.
Let me tell you what I'm I'm seeing in his hand here. I'm also seeing that Earthshock, which is really not helping him at all. I mean,
The
even if he
zombie
plays
chow.
it here,
How do you feel about the zombie chow Farsight synergy? You know what? I think he cut lightning bolt. I would bet you anything he cut lightning bolt. He might have even cut rockbiter to fit all this stuff, so he wouldn't have too
yeah,
many
but
one drops or Farsight. Wow, that's gonna make this matchup a lot worse. He has no burst.
the only thing is bursts around are his cheeks. I'm not too happy again about that.
Well, yeah, this
Well,
game looked unlosable for Shaman, and then just these cards were drawn. So, I don't know, man. Would you just Alexstrasza yourself? I would. No fear. It's like it draws you a Boulder Fist Ogre. Like a 5-mana 8/8.
oh, there comes the Twilight Drake. Right after Earthshock gets wasted, basically. Come on, that's pretty awesome.
Well, he can trade off Chow, and then Alexstrasza makes that drawback not matter too much, I guess.
Or he can Alistraza his opponent, then kill Chow so there's no Molten Giants. Whoa.
Hmm.
I think Alistraza is being played this turn. The question is, how is it being played?
Yeah. Well, going to 15 yourself is a little scary if your opponent has 6 power in play. Might just see
it's
it target Tom. I don't know. What would you do,
Yeah.
Crip?
Absolutely target Tom.
Whoa. Oh, he's gonna defender kill the defender?
Defender, kill the defender.
Or
Nope.
kill the Belcher, I guess. That makes you vulnerable to Mortal Coil. And it doesn't really
Shadow
change
Flame.
the attacks, but yeah. Alright, well, life tapless Belcher. Handlock has all the time in the world to just develop minions now. No fear of Lightning Storm. Just making trades to keep the most dudes in play. Developing the board a lot. That second Molten Giant draw, the dream. Well,
I mean, think. If he was lucky enough to farsight one of them, it could cost him meager 14 mana this turn.
that's a good point. Alright, well, you know, it's exciting towards the end of a format. People are trying some cool stuff out.
No. Hold on. What do you think's going through Tom's mind right now? 3 cards, 10 mana Shaman plays nothing.
Well,
to pass.
certainly not Lightning Storm for some reason. I guess we're gonna see the Faceless on the Belcher,
Yeah.
or maybe the Yeti. Firebat is not happy with this draw. It definitely seems like the Shaman deck is trying to turn the Hunter matchup around. But yeah, you know, it's late in the format. People have tried the established decks quite a bit. He does have Bolt. And it's cool to see Firebat just trying out some cool stuff. Some different decks that haven't been played before. You know, and it's probably
This
going to
is
be last
really
tournament.
different.
It's probably his last tournament before GBG. You got to just have fun with it, right?
It doesn't look like he's having fun.
No, it looks like he drew Molten Giants.
I'm having fun.
That is lethal. Though.
He does have Lightning Bolt in there. Maybe he actually hit the Rock Biters with the Wind Fury minions.
It's usually
What
just
do you think
Alec here,
of that?
right, for Wind Fury minions?
Well, the Doomhammer.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's not a minion. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Man.
Tom takes the Tigers and into a brave new world full
What?
of Stranglethorn Tigers
And
and
Molten Giants.
Molten Giants. Yep.
Now,
That's
what do you
great
think?
for Tom.
What would you give Firebat the chances here of coming back and taking the set 3-2?
Well, he has Zoo, so probably like 80% to 3-0 from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's Zoo? The Chinese tournament that we participated in a couple of months back that was sponsored by a couple of these guys. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing there.
It might be. All right, so we've got
That looks
standard
like a
Undertaker here.
Cancerous opener, yeah.
Oh, the Haunted Creeper. Is that good, Crip? Explain to me if that's good.
It looks like it might be pretty good. Unless it's going to be Silence one Undertaker, Soulfire the other.
The play of champions. Nah, he's going first. He's gonna go for the 4-drop.
Yeah. Now what if you do Ancient Watcher and then you draw a Shadow Flame here and you actually manage to snipe the 4th creature?
Well,
That
that's
that
how
would
you
be
win
pretty
Hearthstone
nice.
tournament.
Oh my!
You
There
do
we
it.
go.
You go
Yep.
for it, I think. Man
Why
up.
wouldn't you?
And then do you Soulfire the Creeper next turn? Just risk it, just so you have a clear board? I would.
Well, I think the 3-drop of choice is going to be the Harvest Golem. I don't think you have a clear board regardless.
That's a good point.
I don't think I would
wonder-
Soulfire, because that would invalidate a lot of the cards in the hand.
Yeah, it would make the Drake a lot worse, which is probably your follow-up. That's a good point.
It might make the Giant unplayable for this game.
Do you... Oh, that Soulfire draw's sick. You just kill the Watcher. Wow, that draw. And he keeps the Loatheb. Well... 80%, I said. Looking good. This is one of the harder matchups.
Nope, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. Because the next cards coming out of Firebat deck are going to be Ragnaros, Ysera, Albastraza, and then another nice card that's unplayable.
No, it looks like this is the try-hard deck for Firebat in this tournament. This is when the Molten Giants and the Tigers go wrong, we fall back to good old trusty Flame Imp and friends.
Mostly friends is what I'm seeing. They're really good friends though. Those 3/4 1-drops that get bigger as the game goes on.
Tom is just in the process of being undertaken to a new level. But that Shadow Flame draw is going to give him a chance. It's not going to completely clear the board because of the Harvest Golem, but the big issue here for Tom is not that he's so far behind on board, it's that even if he clears most of it with the Shadow Flame, he's got this Loatheb follow-up to deal with, and he's kind of out of cards. Because he's had to play Watcher, he's had to play Soulfire. He hasn't been life-tapping in the early turns like Handlock really wants to be doing, so he's not just going to have a Mountain Giant to follow up with, that card's just going to be uncastable. So you clear the board, and then you're just kind of left treading water for a while, I think. You gotta just go face here. Okay, Firebat's kind of hedging here. He doesn't want the Molten Giants to be coming down just yet. I'm not a huge fan of this. I would have just gone in, but that is going to give Tom a lot more time to draw out of this, potentially. Or maybe you don't even have to Shadow Flame anymore. Maybe you just Owl.
Silence.
Silence, kill the Undertaker.
I'd even consider tapping here.
He's going to double Silence. Wow. All right.
Okay. Well, here comes the original, the Flame Imp.
How scared are you of Moltens here? You just stop attacking face and trade with the Owls? I guess you do. The thing is, Molten can come down this turn either way. Ooh, that Loatheb draw is great for Tom. It's just gonna give him another minion to go with. And wow, this Zoo draw, one of the only exceptional draws that the deck can have, because it has slowed down a lot since next round. But Firebat did get this absurd draw with double Undertaker, good curve of Death Rattle minions, and the Handlock deck has managed to stabilize, even with that Soulfire draw to deal with the Watcher. So that's pretty impressive. It's still not over either way. Hard to call this game, but
To be fair, though, I think if Firebat just went all out face because there are no Molten Giants, that Shadow Flame would have been pretty weak. It wouldn't have actually cleared too much.
yeah, that Voidwalker was kind of in the way of killing the Harvest Golem first. Well, do you kill the Loatheb here? I guess maybe you go face.
I
This
think
is
you
really
want to
tough.
kill the Loatheb just so your juggler doesn't die for free.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's gonna just talk up the Loatheb so the juggler doesn't trade off.
Shield for Argon.
What if you juggle the 5/5? Do you still kill? Yeah, you do. Considering going face. All right. Oh, that is the worst card that Tom could have drawn. The second Mountain Giant. That might put Firebat back in it. Jeez. That Doomguard draw. Alright.
Yep.
Zoo doing zoo
Bottom
things.
decked versus top decked. I'm familiar with this. Another Shadow Flame, but that's not gonna work.
Do you life tap again?
Yeah, I think so.
You gotta find Siphon or something.
I think you gotta find Jiraxis to bounce.
I agree with that. Alright, let's see if Firebat gets that owl off the top. Abusive, very good. Well, maybe you don't play it. Playing Abusive would keep your Doomguard topped off on health, but you would lose your Flame Imp. Maybe it's better to just save the Abusive and kill both halves of the Belcher and just play the Juggler.
So many possibilities.
Maybe it's right to even
Would
hold
you-
the Juggler.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Would you play the Juggler at all?
Maybe you juggle their face later, get them in Soulfire range.
Yeah.
He is gonna go with the keep Doomguard topped off.
range.
Yeah, I mean this does force the Siphon Soul, and if he Siphon Souls, he can't deal with the other minions. So that's a good play. Tom is not happy about that draw. Does he die if he just plays Sludge Belcher, Twilight Drake? Probably dies. Because on board, he would have to dodge a Juggle and dodge any pump effect from Firebat.
So many
What about
possibilities.
Twilight Defender?
No, that's what I was thinking about. I think that's even worse. The Twilight's 6 health gets bumped to 7. You die a creature because 7 damage just the Doomguard plus the 2/1, and then a creature juggles the 4 damage.
Yeah, that's a good point. All the Shadow Flame options get you killed. It leaves
Actually,
him
I
with
think the Drake is the only option. Actually, you basically have to dodge 1 damage or a juggle to your face.
I don't think it's possible to do with 2 draws from Firebat. I think your best chance of winning is actually Sludge Belcher, Shadow Flame, the Sludge Belcher. Because then all of the cards like Direwolf and Abusive and Defender and Dark Iron Dwarf don't kill you.
Well,
And you also don't have to dodge a juggle. That life tap. Oh.
well played.
Alright. Firebat's on the board. We're playing with big kid cards now. We got Undertakers, Leopard Gnomes, winning games. I like it.
Yep.
It's gonna put him on the board, still behind 1-2 to Tom. The
Well, I mean,
people's champion.
it's Zoo. I think Priest does really well against this deck most of the time. If you can just get like a Pyromancer, even usually you can roll out.
People say
Drew
that.
generally doesn't. So it's not the worst spot for Firebat. Certainly before this game he was in just about the worst spot possible. Looks like they're jumping into the next game right away. I guess picking Priest was not much of a choice, as we talked about.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, Druid is just about unwinnable. To play Druid against Zoo will almost always mean that Zoo's going to win. Priest can have a good draw. It's a little bit high variance. You need to have all your early interaction. The big deal here is that Priest has coin. Those deaths aren't going to help much.
Do you think some strategy involved in playing the first so you can actually see the rest of the deck? Because you only saw like the first like 14 or so cards, just in case there's some surprises, so you're expecting them as Priest because Priest is so reactionary.
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely agree with that, Crip. If this was like, if I was super tryharding here, I'd probably pick the Druid because there is no difference between winning 3-1 or 3-2. You might as well get your Druid game out of the way and just see as many cards as you can. But I don't. Okay, he's gonna. I think Zoo just won. Yeah, Tom just used his coin and his shield to play around a pump on the Leopard Gnome. That's going to mean he's going to have no turn 3 play. Maybe this is okay because you get to set up the heal, but oh man, these are just all the cards you want against control. 2 Shadow or Deaths, the Black Knight. There's a Mind Control in the deck. Ooh,
Sylvanas.
that's Sylvanas. It's pretty unlucky. Not the draws you want to see as Tom here.
And that double Shadow or Death draw is so crushing in this matchup that I think some priests have rightfully chosen to run only one death. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the list with Undertaker usually only play one. That makes a lot of sense to me. See Holy Nova, I mean that card's going to do something, which is a progress at this point. Power Word Shield. I guess you got to play it.
Why not?
Tom is really looking for Circle of Healing to go with this Akanai right now. He needs to find that card.
All these
Jeez.
terrible draws.
This Priest deck is not that well built against aggressive decks. You see Black Knight, Sylvanas, Harrison, 2 Shadow or Deaths. We saw Mind Control in the Mulligan step. I mean, this is a very greedy Priest deck that's trying to be good against other control lists, more so than aggro. And Thought Steal, jeez.
What do you think about killing the North Shard there? Do you really care if he keeps attacking into your creatures unsuccessfully and drawing a card by wasting his turn?
Embrace the void.
You just gotta knock it out there. It's too. You don't care about the extra damage on face too much. He is gonna play the Akanai. That's gonna mean he has no outs left. Like you can't draw Circle of Healing anymore to win this game.
Yeah. Well, he's just thinking that the opponent will probably trade with a Dark Iron, and in doing so, he might set up a Holy Nova. But I mean, this isn't your typical ladder player at the same time, man. You gotta know there's a Holy Nova coming.
Firebat is aware that he's very far ahead at this point. Soulfire on the face. Oh,
Goodbye, Doomguard.
not sure what he expected there. All right.
Well, I believe there was a chance of winning. Soulfire face, not discarding the Doomguard. Play the Doomguard. Dagger the face, I believe, was exact lethal.
Okay, so that's like just under 50% for lethal. That's all right. I like the play then. I don't know if I like the attack there. I would juggle twice and then trade the juggler. You want to? Yeah, you want to.
Mostly a blur right now. I'm not too sure what's going on.
Wow, he's just gonna.
There's just a lot of minions on the board, and the Akanai is still there.
Yep, he's just going in. Hey, if that Akanai is still alive, that Holy Nova is not really gonna work. So I like the logic. And is there a card he needed to draw? Wow, Firebat basically has no respect for Circle of Healing. If Tom just drew Circle, he had the full clear there.
Yeah, the nuts, basically.
Yeah. All right.
But as it stands, that's over.
Yeah. I don't remember.
2, and Firebat is in a favorable position to win the last game against Druid, regardless of what it is. Like, if it's Death Rattle, Undertaker, Druid, it's still ahead, I believe. Maybe not overwhelmingly, but it's still marginally ahead. In the worst case,
even after he was down 0-2. Remember, you asked me what are the chances Firebat comes back?
That's right. Well, you nailed it.
80%. Yeah.
Wait, what do you think about Ramp Druid against Zulok? That's been making a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably the best version of Druid right now against Zoo, because Zoo is just about the only deck in the game that Ancient of War is a good card against. Zoo actually has to fight through all of the stats, even though you can actually deal with the first Ancient of War and then kill your opponent a lot of times because the buff effects are so powerful, like Abusive and Dwarf. But we'll see what Druid version it is. If it is the Wild Growth Innervate one, then...
Jumping right into the game.
All right, got to keep that Keeper of the Grove.
I see Cairn. This might be it.
All right, Keeper of the Grove is the most important card against Zoo. If he gets Innervate, that's how you win. Oh, he's got Wild Growth. Probably not going to be good enough, but maybe.
True the Claw.
Pretty aggressive draw from the Zoo deck. The Druid Claw's fine. Right now, Tom has his turn 2, 3, and 4 all mapped out already.
I'm just thinking that... Whoa, that's pretty disgusting.
All right, yeah, the correct play here is to draw Innervate. Misplay.
I'm just thinking that this has to be Combo Druid, even though it's running Cairn. I think the Ramp Druid can't afford to run Yeti, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, wow, that Direwolf draw is so good. Or, I mean, sorry, the Nerubian Egg draw is so good. It's going to make the Undertaker so much more of a threat. Gives you, not only fills out your curve this turn, but for next turn as well with that Direwolf Voidwalker. And he has Doomguard, which
Yeah.
is just one of the best cards against Druid, period. Because Druid has such a hard time dealing with large minions. One of
Well,
the
now we're really
classes.
reflecting back on
I must safeguard the land.
this is pretty much like the most punishing way to beat your opponent, right? Stranglethorn Tigers and Molten Giants that never do anything. And then you just zoo them down.
Yeah. Well, okay, so if he Direwolves, Swipe is pretty good against him, so I think we're going to see the Void Terror instead.
And Void Terror is not a very common card in this deck.
Possibilities.
Firebat says he likes playing the 1 because it's kind of a small cost compared to just playing the consistent cards, but the games that it wins you are kind of insane. You know, it wins you games that no other
Yeah.
card can sometimes. Tough call here,
Now-
though.
Just go back for a second. What do you think about the call to kill the Flame Imp rather than silence the egg? Do you think that's really right? Because I feel like if you're playing Zulok, that egg is getting activated sometime. While you might take a little bit more damage in the short end by silencing the egg and not killing the Flame Imp, I think before you kill your opponent, you probably fare a little bit better by silencing the egg.
Well, it's hard to expect the turn 3 Void Terror. You wouldn't really expect a buff on the egg until turn 4 with Dark Iron Dwarf. So I think the idea is if I silence the egg, then I'm taking like 6 damage that I might be able to avoid. I like his decision to kill the Flame Imp there, I think. We'll see
Right.
what he goes with this turn. I mean, is the swipe that good? Yeah, all the plays are kind of rough. Druid of the Claw Charge might be the best play.
What to do?
Or maybe, hold on, what about Shade of Naxxramas as hero power?
Where shall I?
No, that's also pretty bad. He's gonna go with the taunt attack phase, okay. Ooh, that second Doomguard, that's actually good for Tom that Firebat drew that.
Yeah.
Won't have to deal with 2 of those this game.
It's actually a bit difficult to deal with the Druid of the Claw here. I think you have to sacrifice your Undertaker.
So
You probably even life tap, right? Just because you have some draws that can help you kill it pretty cleanly.
I don't like the life tap because I think you want to Doomguard as soon as possible to take the game.
Life tapping means you can't play Voidwalker.
Yeah.
And it might even give you a chance to keep a Doomguard with your other Doomguard.
so many.
Is that a joke?
possibilities.
No. If you life tap Wolf,
Yeah, but the Doomguard always kills off the other Doomguard.
I mean, not for the world champion, man.
Oh, okay.
He plays different Hearthstone than us mere mortals.
Okay.
Alright, well,
He did go with what I had in mind there. Sacking the Undertaker, not tapping and playing the Voidwalker.
mhm.
And I mean, the next best draw would be a Soulfire. Like, Soulfire is like the Jin card here. You just take like you take a tempo lead that cannot be taken back from you if you draw Soulfire here.
So as the Druid, this is probably the turn where you have to swipe. Swipe hero power.
Yeah, there's no choice.
Do you swipe the Voidwalker just so you can hero power the Wolf? Or do you just swipe the Nerubian Egg? Or do you just play Black Knight?
And set up a better swipe. Oh man.
You take a lot of damage to do that, but that might be the only way that Tom has left of winning this game.
I think you might be right.
I think this Doomguard draw just kind of locks it up, but it's, well, not draw, but play next turn.
Yeah, yeah.
There might be something that Tom could do to get back into this. Maybe you draw a second swipe. Play Black Knight this turn, draw a second swipe. I don't know. It's a tough game to play for sure from the
Well, he
Druid
goes
side.
with the swipe that kills off the most creatures, which seems pretty fine. I mean, if you're playing this from Tom's side of the board, you're probably thinking, maybe there's an Argus coming up soon. Maybe I can clean up with the Black Knight and
Yep.
be pretty well off.
Firebat
If you
draws
just-
the best card in his deck that he can. The only card he
Oh,
could
wow.
play this turn with the Doomguard. Free rolls 4
Yeah.
damage.
And then why not another 5 for funsies?
Yeah. Well, hey, drawing Sun Fury may have put Druid back in this game, but that's not what happened. We're going to see a hero power, and now Firebat needs to miss out on drawing like half of his deck that's lethal.
Yeah, 1 damage.
Oh, that's not it. Another turn for Druid. Maybe if Druid draws an Innervate for that Cenarius, maybe there's hope. He's going to save the Owl for a taunt. I like that play. Wild Growth is not going to help. I think that's game. And
Yeah,
Zoo
there's
doing what
no
Zoo
way.
does.
Holy
Played
cow.
some minions, did some damage.
Man,
What a deck.
Firebat. Firebat is so happy right now.
Yep. And whoever
Oh.
built that deck had to be an absolute genius.